Hi, it's Friday, September 5th, and I continue to read and wonder my way through Matthew's Gospel. And today it's Matthew 24, verses 15 to 31. We are in the midst of a whole lot of apocalyptic talk by Jesus. The end of the age. Maybe birth pangs, but it's still scary and violent, and it's the end of an age. We heard yesterday how we might survive the end of the age, and we're going to continue with Jesus' words, still apocalyptic, still telling us what's going to happen, and well, we'll wonder about it together and see what it means. So here it is. It's Matthew 24, verses 15 to 31. Jesus is still speaking. So when you see the desolating sacrilege spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. The one on the housetop must not go down and take things from the house. The one in the field must not turn back to get a coat. Woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that your flight may be not in winter or on a Sabbath, for at that time there will be great suffering, such as not been from the beginning of the world until now, no, and never will be. And if those days had not been cut short, no one would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then, if anyone says to you, Look, here's the Messiah, or There he is, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and produce great signs and wonders to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. Take note. I have told you beforehand. So if they say to you, Look, he's in the wilderness, do not go out. If they say to you, Look, he's in the inner rooms, do not believe it. For as the lightning comes from the east and flashes as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. Wherever the corpse is, there the eagles will gather. Immediately after the suffering of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall down from heaven, and the powers of heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. I'll let it go right there. Oh, there's more, not to worry. But I think that's enough for the moment. And the imagery is fulsome, isn't it? And scary, kind of overwhelming. Let's use overwhelming more than scary. But you can dial it all down. I think at least the more I read it, the more I do dial it down. Um, I mean, it's funny how repetition builds, right? Um, we're told there's going to be very bad times. Then someone says to you, look, here's Messiah, or there he is, don't believe him. There you go. And then we're given another example of what that looks like. False messiahs, false messiahs, false prophets will appear, and they'll even appeal to the elect. But take note, as I told you, if they say, "Look, he's in the wilderness, don't go out. Look, he's in the inner rooms, do not believe it." Yeah, no, we got it. You already said that. Repetition creates this tension. You get this. Oh my God, this is a scary thought. And it is a scary thought, but if I dial down the drama a little bit, for as the lightning comes from the east and flashes as far as the west, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. So I take that to say, people are going to say, look, it's over here. The answer's here. The Messiah's over here. The Messiah's over there. Don't listen to them. And you go, well, but eventually I'm going to have to listen to somebody, right? Because eventually somebody's going to be telling me the truth. If I don't trust anybody, no, it's going to be like lightning in the sky. You can't miss it. Now, the coming of the Son of Man, the coming of the new age, is not is not lightning, right? Jesus, the second coming, is not coming as lightning. Lightning is used symbolically, almost metaphorically, just to understand that no, it's something you will not be able to ignore. Nobody's going to have to point it out to you. No one's going to have to say, "Oh, look over there. There's lightning." No, I see the lightning. I don't have to discern it as lightning. It's obvious. And then we go into suffering of those days. The sun will be dark, and the moon will give its light. The stars will fall from heaven. The powers of heaven will be shaken. says the moon will not give its light, and the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they'll see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. I'm not sure that all those words are actually any different from lightning comes to the east and flashes as far as the west. Now, there are a lot of people who are invested in the idea of the rapture, in a physical coming of the second coming of Jesus on clouds and all of that, and I get that. But for me, these are just more words to say the same thing. It's like a flash of lightning. The thing is, if you're looking for that second coming, if you're looking for that sign that it is now, um, you don't have to search for it. It will be obvious as Jesus coming from the sky on clouds, as obvious as lightning in the sky. Doesn't mean it's going to be lightning. Doesn't necessarily, for me, doesn't mean it's going to be Jesus coming on clouds. Doesn't mean that there'll be angels with a loud trumpet. Simply means that it will be undeniably true to you. At least that's the part I had from my life, because there are things I look at that are just undeniably true, and yet some people don't seem to get it at all. They're like, oh my, how do you not? Some people don't. Um, but you won't have to wonder about it. And I find that actually quite helpful for me. Um, when I'm trying to decide, it's like, well, I don't know. Should I do a list of pros and cons? Is this, is this from God? Is this life giving? Is this not? Let's do a whole little list. And it's like, if you have to do a list, then chances are no, it's obvious. I met a man this week who's got a project that does some really wonderful, really good things in the community. And we met, and he invited me and my community to be part of what he's doing. He needs a little support. Not talking finances, but a whole bunch of things that we could be doing together. And he's offering this opportunity. And I'm sitting listening to him, and I know this is a good thing to do. I can feel it. I just know that it is. Uh, I don't have to wonder. I know. So we finish our meeting, and I'm saying, I have a really good feeling about this, but I'll, give me, I need some due diligence. Give me a couple days. So I just start doing my research, and as I do my research, everything in my research tells me, yeah, your instinct was right, Norm. You knew. That happened this week, and I'm actually excited about something that I'm hoping that my community will be doing with his small growing organization, and that's fantastic. But I knew immediately. I have had the experience. Um, don't have as often now because I got wiser. I have had the experience where I'm, thinking about doing something, and you're like, yeah, everything on paper says this is a pretty good idea, and some people are telling me it's good stuff, but I don't feel right about it. Something just feels off about this. I don't think I just I don't know. And then people say, "Oh no, you should be doing this now because it's all the things that we're doing, and this church is going to do it, and that group's going to do this, and like we're all doing that now because it's the thing that we should be doing." The Me to We movement, the Kielberger brothers, and by the way, Me to We did a whole bunch of really great things, but I didn't feel right about some of the stuff that was going on, the way they were doing it. I just couldn't really get in behind it. And then, 4 years later, it's like, oh, right, there is a level of, well, I'm not in a legal position to talk about corruption. I will say there's a level of disappointment that makes me say, I'm glad I didn't invest too many of my eggs into that basket. Uh, this reading reminds me of that very thing. When it comes to faith, we often know. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do due diligence, but we should definitely trust ourselves in how we feel about things. Is this from God? Is this not? And the more I have to wonder about it, the more I have to prove to myself that it is from God, the less likely that it is. And there'll always be people telling you that whatever the cause is, it's from God. They may not use that language, they may not call it a holy cause, but they certainly treat it that way. You get it in politics, you get it in pop culture, you get all sorts of things. You have to be on board with this, or there's something wrong with you. If you're not a Swiftie, there's something wrong with you. By the way, big Taylor Swift fan. But all sorts of people who basically would say, you have to be, you have to be part of this. Like, not necessarily. No, no. But we have to be, like, it's a holy thing. If you're not part of it, then there's something wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with not being a Swiftie. Again, love Taylor Swift. Not just, it's an obvious example where but where it takes on a life of its own, that it becomes the right thing. It begins to define what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, what is in, what is out. All sorts of things are treated like they're holy. Look, there's Messiah. There he is. There she is. She's doing that. Look, this thing's going on. This movement, that movement. The whole woke movement. This is the holy way to be. No, absolutely counter woke is the holy way to be, the only way to be. This is the Messiah. No, this is the Messiah. And the more they scream about the Messiahs, wherever the corpse is, there the eagles will gather. Love that saying, by the way. It's kind of a cryptic proverb. And for some people, it's about divine judgment. God's going to get you, and everyone's going to see that. For me, it's like, no. Very often, where the eagles are gathering, where all the excitement is, that's not necessarily life. You don't have to go looking for it; it comes and it finds you. You don't have to go looking for Jesus. Jesus came and found me, found us. God's always looking for me. Very often, those things that are creating that whole carnival atmosphere, actually at the core of them is death. Where the corpse is, there the eagles will gather. It's like, yeah, where you see vultures, it's probably not where the life is. Um, Again, not knocking vultures, but that to me is what's going on here. Look, he's in the wilderness. Don't go. Don't do it. Because when you know, you know. People do that. If you know, you know. FYYIIF. IYK. That's it. IYKYK. If you know, you know. I would change that to a W. When you know, you know. Because sometimes you just know. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do your due diligence. Shouldn't Doesn't mean you shouldn't check it out to affirm, confirm, support what you're doing. But right? You just know. Um, hmm. Anyway, let me go back to the beginning, because there's something really interesting in this passage for me as well. It's the opening. So when you see the desolating sacrilege spoken of by the prophet Daniel standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. That's in parentheses, right? Parentheses, bracket. Let the reader understand. Close bracket. Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. Um, okay, that's cool. Cool because one of the things is cool because Jesus is telling the people, run, hide. Jesus is telling them it's going to be as bad as it's never been worse than it's going to be. But don't worry, it won't last forever. All right, for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. If they weren't cut short, no, it gets everybody. But don't worry, it will be cut short. But yes, go, run. Do not think twice about this. Don't go back to the house for a coat. Do not. No, just go. Flee to the hills. Oh yeah, but what about the Alamo? What about Masada? What about standing and defending? There's a certain glory in that, is there not? And I love that this is sort of a pastoral thing, saying, no, 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 don't do that. Jesus can say things like, take up your cross and follow me, but he's not saying to them, oh yeah, and die for me, will you please? I mean, I'm told that if I want to keep my life, I should be prepared to give my life. I should actually even give my life. But in this moment where Jesus could easily say, when the going gets tough, I need you to stand firm. No, Jesus says, no, don't flee to the mountains. Protect yourselves. That invites me to wonder a little bit about when it's time to retreat. Live a life of faith. I'd like to think that I'm, trying to follow God's will, God is with me. I'm not afraid. I'm going to keep trying, all that kind of stuff. And yet this tells me, but sometimes, you know what, Norm? Sometimes, yeah, just back away. Sometimes don't take that fight. Sometimes just go away, get out of it. And that's hard to imagine. The faith I grew up with was always go, 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 go. Don't be afraid. Come on, David, you can take down Goliath. This is kind of like saying, well, David, he is way bigger than you. So you know what? Yeah, go hide with the sheep. Seriously. Growing up on stories of David and that kind of thing, and stories of the Alamo, and and the brave whoever it was who stands up to the very end, and may lose, but ho, stood there to the end and stunned the enemy. They couldn't believe that one small boy would hold all of that. Being raised with that, to hear this and to listen to what Jesus is saying, oh, wait a minute, it is actually okay to retreat. Huh. That's going to take some learning. I've always been kind of really big on self-sacrifice. The more bruised and battered I am, the more faithful I am. Isn't that how it works? Right? Because I've fought the good fight, as we say. You never hear about you ran a good retreat. No, you hear you fought the good fight. But in this passage, I reflect on this and I hear Jesus saying, you know what? Sometimes run, sometimes hide, because it can be bad, and you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, again, that's implied in Jesus's words, right? Um, Woe to those who are pregnant and those who are nursing infants in those days. Pray that your fight may not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. So the thing is, the worst of times could come at any time. You don't know when it's going to. So Jesus, in this one, to me, is not predicting this one thing that's coming. It's no, but inevitably this is going to happen. And there will be great suffering. Hopefully it's not in the winter because that's going to be really bad. Hopefully you won't be pregnant or nursing a child because that's going to be bad too. This is no, these things can happen at any time. And it's okay to retreat. That's what I'm getting anyway. Um, but that wasn't the reason I like this passage so much. They are like the sentence. I mean, that's interesting to me that there's this sort of a pastoral care. Like, no, absolutely protect yourself, take care of yourself. It's the bracket. When you see the desolating sacrilege spoken of by the prophet Daniel, and that is the prophet Daniel referring to Daniel in the Hebrew Scriptures, who has apocalyptic vision, desolating sacrilege, destruction under the Maccabees, all sorts of just bad time, or yeah, all sorts of bad things going on. But um, but then we're just standing in the holy place. Let the reader understand. Let the reader understand. Jesus didn't say that. Matthew said that. Whoever has written this gospel has said to us, hey, understand this. Pay attention to this. This is an editorial note from Matthew in the middle of words by Jesus. For me, this is stunning. This is the acknowledgement that there is somebody writing this down. There is somebody editing this, somebody putting it together. Because there's an instruction to me, the reader, not the hearer. This is not what Jesus said. This is for later. This has been collected. I'm reading it, and I'm being told, oh, hey, pay attention. Let the reader understand. Now, understand what? Well, understand could simply mean pay attention and think about this. Don't just read the words. Same kind of thing that I say all the time when I'm embarking on this sort of time of wondering. Don't just like hear the words and nod yet. No. Hey, reader, let the reader understand. Pay attention about this. Think about this. Understand that this is reference to Daniel's time, but it's happening again. Because of course, we have just seen, I believe, we have just seen the destruction of the temple. But it's also possible that the destruction of the temple is about to happen. But it's like, no, we're in a bad place again. We've been in a bad place before. We're in a bad place again. Again, understand that. So I know you're reading about Daniel, but understand that we're actually talking about what's happening right now with Rome here in Jerusalem. We're not talking about Daniel. We're not talking about Maccabees. We know those stories. We know all about that, but it's happening again. That may be what that means. It also may be just saying it's not that it's happening again, it's that it happens all the time. And there is a pattern here. These things happen with the Maccabees. It's happening now. It'll happen again. And, that there are these things where the devastation is so great that it's worse than it's ever been. But those, and so bad that if not cut short, then we're all doomed. But it will be cut short. I think about that, and I think about the things going on in the world right now, things going on of which I'm aware, things that I may be part of, looking at them going like, oh man, it's done. If we don't stop this, we're all done. We're doomed, right? A great suffering such has not been from the beginning of the world until now, and no, never will be. Like never be this bad again either. This is the worst it could possibly be. And if those days had not been cut short, no one would be saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. I think about the way wars go on in the world. I think about the great chasm, never mind divide, chasm between the haves and the have-nots that's going on in the world. I think about in environmental peril. Think about all of those things. All of those things could easily be, yeah, man, we're doomed. There's nothing we can do. But those days will be cut short. Not necessarily on my behalf. Now, oh, God's going to come down and save Norm, and God's going to come and save Norm's church, or going to save Norm's type of faith people. No, no, it's that is that God doesn't want the end of all things for us. Those days will be cut short. Even when we're talking about the end of an age, right? We're talking about the end of the age, talking about the second coming. Yeah, but that great suffering, that ending of all things, will be cut short because God. That's not God's will that all things end. That is comforting to me. That is hopeful to me. Weirdly, it does not make me complacent, going, oh, yeah, I don't have to worry about it. It's not going to, it won't wipe us all out because God's going to take care of it. No, but it invites me then to get into the struggle that I can't win. Get involved in the battle. If you'll allow me to use a violent image, let me get involved in a battle that cannot be won because with God it will be won. With God that will be cut short. That with God, it can work. It can happen. Um, so it's hard to figure out exactly what we're supposed to get from that. But for me, this is this wonderful moment where Matthew is saying to me, Matthew, not Jesus, Matthew is saying to me, understand this, think about this, wonder about this, the very thing that I'm doing right now. Matthew's telling me to do that very thing. At least that's what I think's going on there. Um, and I love that. I don't know why more people don't talk about it because it's fascinating to me where Matthew just goes, hey, let the reader understand. Pay attention. And here's a variety of ways you might look at this, but do that. Don't be passive. At the very bottom, let the reader understand. Don't be passive. Engage. It's the invitation to engage. And you know what? I think I'm going to take that as my cue to stop engaging for the moment and give it a rest. So I'm going to offer prayer. We'll carry on with the day and with the weekend because, yeah, we got a weekend in front of us and we'll get together again on Monday. So for now, let me offer a prayer. Loving God, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to wonder, to engage. Thank you not only for the opportunity, but for the invitation that comes directly from the text to understand, to to discern, to try. God, as we discern, as we try, let us keep our ears open for your voice. And as we hear it, may we be drawn to it and may we grow in faith because of it. We pray in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, through the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, that's enough for me today, but I do look forward to seeing you on Monday. Until I get to see you, have a great weekend. And God bless you. Know that God sees you, knows you, and loves you exactly as you are. But God's love doesn't just sit with you and comfort you, it does that, but it also moves through you. You provide comfort, strength, grace to everybody you meet. So thank you for being you. God bless you. See you Monday.